Mr. Z coming to you live from the empty apartment of my upstairs neighbor who just moved out, and this will be the temporary demo space for today to answer a request, which was people wanted to know how to draw the eye of the tiger. So let's zoom in on it and take a little bit of a look. I think the main thing that we have to be aware of is basically there's a few regions of light and dark, right? So like there's this region here on the left that is basically kind of dark, but with black and gray stripes kind of delineating the bridge of the nose. And then coming in here into the eyebrow, this tiger has a lovely white eyebrow with a stripe in it. And the eye pretty much fits entirely inside this square. You can see that there's a little bit of a highlight on the eye, and it has that dark outline around it. And it takes up roughly the bottom right quadrant of the whole square. I have identified the square in my drawing where that eye is going to go. It's 3 in from the right and 3 in from the top. So coming over 1, 2, 3, going down 1, 2, 3. Same with here, over 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3. Once again, kind of going over the features of this square, if we go to the top, we can kind of see what is intersecting here. Roughly a third of the way over from the left, I see where the division is between this darker patch of fur and the lighter patch of fur, and I want to kind of roughly draw the outline of that, and I'm using a very light line for this. Next, we can kind of put in where the eye is. So I'm going to start with this kind of arc that comes up over the eye and down into the front of it. That's joining the bottom of the box about a quarter of the way to the left, and it's coming up about halfway in terms of the height of the box, and just dipping down a little bit before meeting the side like that. That is the division between the black area and where the white fur begins. So now I can kind of start to see where the actual eyeball is here. And I can see that it's pretty round. It's not a perfect circle, but it's pretty close. Then I can see there's a little bit of white here in the corner. And I know that all this is black. There's a little bit of a highlight here because there's that shiny part of the membrane around the eye. The center here is where the pupil is, and here's that highlight, and here's a shadow. Right there, just like that. So I want to make sure that I'm capturing that shadow as it dips down over the highlight. I'm going to find some of these dark hairs here, the dark fur, and some dark fur here, following the grain of the fur. I want to start light and go towards dark this time, and that's mainly because there's so much dominant light color in this grid square. I also know that no matter what, this white is probably not going to be as white as the white of the page. So I can get close to it in some parts, but mostly I want to avoid leaving it perfectly white. But I'm going to wait till my you see I sharpened my pencil just now, and I want to wait till it's a little bit more blunt so that I can get a softer kind of shading done on that. At this stage I'm going to go dark and then work my way back toward the center in terms of value. So now I'm going in with full force to find those darkest darks. Here come the darker stripes here. A few spots. Lovely cat. Let's go a little darker in here. This can definitely be darker here. Now, all that's left is for me to define midtones. I'm going to start with this one here. using less pressure. Starting a little bit too light so that I can go darker if I need to. Just going to turn the light off for a second so you can compare for yourself. I could go a little bit darker in here. Now very lightly, just adding a little bit more texture into the fur. And I'd say that is pretty good. We can do a side-by-side comparison here. It's kind of a cool collage that's coming together. So anyway, I wish you well. That was quite an intensive square, and that's because you want to put a lot of effort into squares that have eyes in them. Generally, when you're doing portraiture, eyes are really important. They might be the most important part of a portrait when you're doing one. So do put a lot of effort into those squares. I know it's a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it in the end when you're done.